Dr. Huda, we should start.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on artificial intelligence and academia, understanding ChatGPT and its effect. My name is Huda Belushi, and I'll be moderating the session today. In the beginning, please join me to welcome Professor Stanislav Ivanov, shortened as Stan, as he likes to be called. Stan is a professor in tourism economics and vice rector of research at Varna University of Management in Bulgaria, and the director of Zangador Research Institute. He is the founder and the editor-in-chief of two academic journals, the European Journal of Tourism Research, Index in Scopus and Web of Science, and Robonomics, the Journal of the Automated Economy. Additionally, he serves on the editorial and review board of over 30 other journals. He authored over 200 publications in the fields of Robonomics, robotics, artificial intelligence and service automation, hotel marketing, hotel chains, pricing and revenue management, destination marketing and management, tourism impact on economic growth, and finally, political issues in tourism. Stan keeps close links with the tourism businesses. He has been in several time lecturer at the largest events for tourism professionals in Bulgaria, like Travel Academy, Hotel Investment Forum, and Destination Varna. Through Zangador Limited, Stan conducts training on hotel marketing, pricing and revenue management, marketing audits, and others, implementing marketing research products, and prepares specialized analyses and reports for various companies. He has specialized in the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Norway, Cyprus, United States of America, and Italy. So please join me to welcome Professor Stan, and for our respected audience, please note that we will be handling your questions and discussions promptly. So whenever you feel like you want to ask or comment on something, please just raise your hand or place your questions in the chat box or in the question and answer box. Professor Stan, welcome, and the floor is now yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It is an honor to be part of this webinar. Let me share the screen. So I guess you are seeing the presentation. Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, welcome to the webinar. I will be talking about the artificial intelligence and academia, but because this topic is extremely large and we will need several days in order to discuss all the possibilities, impact, etc., I will focus exclusively on ChatGPT and its effects. You already heard a bit about me, professor and vice rector research at Varna University of Management. This is a small private university in the country. Also, director of Zangador Research Institute, which is a small private research institute in the country. Member of IES, this is the oldest tourism research organization in the world. Member of IFIT, which is the organization for tourism technology. I'm also the founder and editor-in-chief of the European Journal of Tourism Research, which is indexed in Scopus and Web of Science. 3 years ago, I founded Robonomics, the Journal of the Automated Economy. And I serve as a coordinating editor for submissions in the field of AI and robotics for the International Journal of Hospitality Management. So, ChatGPT, the new hype. ChatGPT was only recently launched. And my first question to the audience is, who has used ChatGPT? You may just write in the chat, or I will open the chat here so that I can also see you. Who has used the ChatGPT? Okay, yeah, there are some people who use it and yeah, use it as a student for translation. Someone tried it. Okay, great. So, what do you think about it? Is it useful for you or it's not? Yeah, great, useful, very useful, great for academics. Okay, it's amazing. So thank you so much. This was, yeah, someone wants to mention something. I see a raised hand. Oh, the hand was walled. Yeah, lots of promises, challenges, and ethical consideration. Yes, you're absolutely right about this. Now, ChatGPT, is it the new hype? It is a chatbot based on GPT-3. This is a generative pre-trained transformative language model. And it was launched in November 2023 by OpenAI Incorporated. So it is a chatbot that generates text. This is, in a sense, what it does. It is trained on data. It has 175 billion nodes there. So it generates text in a quite convincing way. And this is what it actually does. And everything else, what we will see and what it can be used for in academia and in education, is basically based on this capability, generating text. So it was launched just a month before the end of 2022. So now it is operational for less than 3 months. But within these 3 months, there were many things written on the topic, many things were said, many questions were raised, etc. And yeah, how can we use it in education? I would say that ChatGPT is probably one of the things which will be a symbol of what is going to happen within the education. It is like an indication of the perfect storm that is coming to education and to research. For the first time, we experience a chatbot that has the capabilities of writing texts in a very good way, in convincing way, which is grammatically correct. And often these things, although it is quite descriptive, it lacks depth, it is sufficiently of a sufficiently good quality. We have seen articles where it is explained that ChatGPT passed exams, wrote assignments, wrote essays, etc. And many people say that no, we should not use ChatGPT in education. So what can we use it for? Various things. Application in education. The first one, let's look from the viewpoint of the teachers, of the lecturers. The first one, this is teaching assistance. For example, providing feedback to students, answering questions. When someone goes to ChatGPT and asks, okay, what can we use this method for? For example, what is regression analysis? This ChatGPT could provide an answer. Of course, the good thing here is that ChatGPT can reward the answer as many and can repeat the answer and reward it as many times as necessary, so that the response will be more understandable to the person that asks the question. Also, ChatGPT could be used to provide feedback, for example, to students. For example, if you copy and paste text there and ask whether something needs to be improved there, and something, for example, as the wording needs to be improved, it can provide such feedback. Of course, there are limitations on this, because currently the ChatGPT is not connected to real-life data. So it's not possible that you upload the file. This file is checked by ChatGPT and provides you comments based on this and it's not you cannot provide it cannot provide feedback in real time on this for the specific assignment, but what it's possible, if there's an API on this, it could, and with some additional adjustments, this might be possible. So practically in the future, what we will see will be digital teaching assistants that will be able to provide feedback to students. I guess this is going to come within the next years, because dear colleagues, this will be a dream, because much of our administrative work related to marking will be able to be transferred to artificial intelligence. This is one thing. While I would say that some of these things are not, well, answering questions, yes, it can, this is already here. Providing feedback is more of limited options, but in the future, this will be a big deal. Also, generating ideas for assessment. For example, a lecturer can go to ChatGPT, explain the module, and then ask ChatGPT what ideas it can have, it can give for assessment, how it can be used. I have tried this, and practically they were quite interesting. Some of the ideas are quite interesting. How, for example, ChatGPT could be used in practice for in education. You will see on the next slides. For example, you can. In my university, I started an experiment for using ChatGPT by students. For example, students in my university, they are allowed to use ChatGPT in order to generate text. Yeah, I receive a message. Please check the sound on your device. Is this for me?
No, Professor. It's for the person who was complaining about the sound.
Ah, okay, so, okay,
yeah,
okay.
We're replying to the audience.
Ah, okay. Thank you so much. So you hear me well.
Yes.
For example, I'm allowing the students in 2 of my modules to use ChatGPT to generate parts of their assignments. So, of course, all the necessary administrative work was done in advance before starting with this experiment. But the idea is to see how students will be utilizing this this tool, and this is important because anyway, it's I personally do not see the reason why such tools need to be forbidden. It is a tool. It is here to stay. The new tools that will appear within the next week, within the next months, in the coming years, they will be even more advanced. Definitely, ChatGPT will be perceived as having very weak capabilities compared to those to the tools that are going to come in the future. And other colleagues are also experimenting by asking, by incorporating ChatGPT in the assessment, by asking students to generate text, to see what are the capabilities of ChatGPT, to evaluate its pros and cons, etc. Also, drafting assignment briefs and exam questions. So it is possible for us as lecturers to ask ChatGPT to generate some assignment briefs. So instead of us trying to think and work to generate the text by ourselves, it can do it for us. I tried it. It's good. It's not perfect, of course, but it's a very good start. Also, writing students' assignments. This is what I mentioned. It is directly related to generating the ideas. Now, this raises some ethical questions because many people say, "Come on, this will be plagiarism because someone else is going to write the text of the assignment. It was not generated in the brain, in the mind of the student." Well, I always answer in the same way. SPSS and any other statistical software or Excel, etc., is a tool. So when we calculate, when we use a statistical software package to make the calculations, shouldn't we consider this as plagiarism as well? No, we don't consider, because it's not us that makes the calculation, it's the machine. Now, here, some universities forbid students to use ChatGPT because they say that the text is not generated by the student. So this is, as I see, someone mentions in the chat that critical thinking skills will not be developed. Students might completely rely on the tool to do their job. This might be considered as plagiarism. Yes, that's this is really a concern. But if we consider this as a significant concern, then probably we should not use statistical software to make the calculations. Probably we should make the calculations by hand, because we will be losing our numerical skills because it is the software that makes the calculations rather than we do. However, what my logic in allowing the students to use ChatGPT to generate text for the assignments was as follows. The assignments that students need to write are around 3,000 words. And they are quite specific, which means that they have to follow specific structure, etc. They are context specific. So if a student wants to use ChatGPT to generate the text, it cannot. The student cannot give the instructions to ChatGPT and just copy paste the instructions and the tool to generate the text. The student needs to break down the instructions probably into something 20-30 prompts, even more. Prompt. This is the instructions given to ChatGPT what it needs to do, and then ChatGPT will generate some text. This text then will be, but some of the text will not be quite relevant, so that the student will need to compile all the text, eliminate the things that are not relevant, and then make the text more coherent, logically connected, etc. So practically, it may turn out that generating this text and with 20-30 prompts and first breaking down the instructions into 20-30 prompts, identifying which prompts need to be asked to ChatGPT, then copy pasting the text in the file, eliminating key relevant text, connecting them into one. It may turn out that it takes more time and efforts compared to if the student writes this by him or herself. Not only this, however, we can go even beyond. From my perspective, breaking down an instruction into several tens of prompts teaches students to other skills as well, which to gives them the opportunity to learn how to operationalize tasks. This is something that I find, that I see that many students find it difficult. They have the instructions, but people find it difficult to transform these instructions into specific tasks which are needed to be implemented, especially if the instructions are more or less generic rather than quite specific and detailed. That's why ChatGPT may practically eliminate, well, not eliminate, but decrease the practical typing of some of the text and generating some of the text, but it will teach students to other skills, how to plan, how to operationalize different instructions, how to operationalize things from idea stage, on a highly level stage, into more operational level, low level things on a task level. What exactly needs to be done? Something that practically is not included in the assignment briefs. This means that students will learn many more skills in addition to what they do with the traditional type of assessment. And if we think that students will lose their critical thinking skills, I wouldn't be worried so much, because practically they need to give the instructions to ChatGPT. It's not ChatGPT that will give this instructions to them. Anyway, ChatGPT will do what it's given as instructions. But of course, the fact that it does not, that it's not the student that will generate the text, but it is a computer program that generates this, it's not of a big concern for me personally. Of course, I do request students to explicitly mention in their assignments that they have used AI tool. They may use ChatGPT, they may use any other software in order to, so that this is clearly outlined, because otherwise this will be considered as unfair practice. We need to know that they used these tools. But moreover, losing specific skills is not necessary a problem. For example, by using a laptop, by using computers, we practically type things. When I was a student, 25 years plus ago, I was writing my assignments and I was writing on exams by hand. So, but now I do everything. I do everything on the computer. So writing by hand is something that will, at one point, will probably we will do much less than we need. And is this going to be a bad thing? Probably, some people will see so. But if this skill is substituted, is replaced by another skill, which makes our life more efficient, no problem. So of course, as someone correctly mentioned in the chat, we do need to, as lecturers, we do need to change the assignments, because the assignments, they need to be a little bit they need to be more specific and less generic. So if we ask ChatGPT, please write an essay about what do you think about this or that, then this is generic. But if we give assignments to students which are based on specific case studies, specific companies, or information that is given to them, which they need to analyze, or then it will be more difficult for the AI to replace the human, at least for the moment. For the future, this will be this might be quite possible to do it. So I asked ChatGPT, what can we do? How can we use it in education? And this is its answer: automating the grading of written assignments, generating personal study materials and practice questions, providing students with instant feedback, creating interactive educational games and simulations, summarizing, explaining complex concepts in a more accessible way, helping students with language learning by providing real-time translations and writing assistance, etc. However, I would say that here, automating grading of written assignments and personalized study material and practice questions, that's good, but it will require real-time data, and it needs to be integrated into a chatbot that has real-time data about the students and about the files that can be uploaded. So this is for limited use at the moment. But it will be, but definitely this is going to be the future. Of course, we can use it as in educational games and simulations, so that we can see students can communicate with it, and they can learn more things. So, but of course, there are some risks of using ChatGPT in education. First, the algorithm was trained with data up to 2021 and cannot access real-time data. This is extremely important, because it does not having real-time data means that if you ask it something about the current events happening now, last weeks, etc., then we can have, it will not be able to answer these questions. So it can, its answers might be irrelevant, incorrect, or outdated. Moreover, it might lack information about a particular topic at all, because it is, it does not have this information in its data set. This means that ChatGPT is not universal. It does not provide references to the original sources of the text used to generate the answers. This means that although there will be texts, and this text will pass the plagiarism check, as someone mentioned in the chat, this is, there will be no references there. So, or if there are references, you will see when we talk about ChatGPT in research, this will not generate, these references will not be quite correct. So this is not eliminating the human in this field. There are other software solutions which can be used to generate text. For example, in the editorial, in my editorial to the first issue of Robonomics, the journal of the Automated Economy, published 2 years ago, part of the editorial was generated by artificial intelligence. And of course, I explicitly mentioned this in the text, but it was nice to see around 500 words generated by AI. And I was surprised because it also provided some references. And of course, the text was of not so high critical level of analysis, but at least it was with it was of decent quality. And also, its answers are usually descriptive. They lack sufficient depth and critical analysis. This means that if students rely on generated to generate text, this will not be quite sufficient to pass their the modules with high marks. So definitely, the text is descriptive, and it doesn't have definite critical evaluation. And of course, there are many other biases, as someone mentioned, because, based on how they are trained. Because, you know, in AI, there's one thing that is, we usually say, garbage in, garbage out. So if you train the AI with the wrong data, with biased data, then the output will be also biased. So this was about education. A few things about ChatGPT in research, because this is now a big deal. And we as we are educators, but we are also researchers. And how can ChatGPT help us? we can use it to generate research ideas. We can ask, for example, what can we research about, let's say, ChatGPT in education, or ChatGPT in, or let's say, robotics in tourism context, or something else. And I tried it several times, and I would say that its ideas were, some of the ideas were quite interesting. Of course, many of them, they were quite expected, because they come naturally from the data set with which they are trained, but there are also some gems in the text it generates. Also, to draft the literature review. Now, extremely careful here, because drafting the literature review, ChatGPT will generate text, but it will not give references. Or if it gives references, they will be completely they might be completely irrelevant. So I would say that, at least for the moment, this opportunity to use it to draft a literature review is extremely limited and should not be used. But also, it can provide advice about methods. For example, you can ask ChatGPT about what things related to different methodologies, and but it will give you a generic answer. It will not tell you, okay, for this particular research, please use this method because this or that. So it will not provide justification. But if you ask it about methods, about the specific strengths and weaknesses of the methods, when they should be used, etc., it will provide an answer which is probably something similar at like a Wikipedia article. It will not be quite always justified, but it can give advices. It can reword texts and improve the writing style, definitely, especially for a person like me. I'm not a native speaker in English. This could be quite a useful tool. But some people or some researchers also, they decide to use ChatGPT as a co-author. And publishers, I personally think that ChatGPT should not be considered as a co-author, because, well, the logic here to be a co-author is that ChatGPT can generate a lot of the text. For example, in the EJTR, in the European Journal of Tourism Research, we have one article that is forthcoming in the next issue of the journal that was, I would say, 2/3 generated by AI. It's an interview with ChatGPT. But it will have a single author, a human. Not ChatGPT is not a co-author. The logic to edit as a co-author is that it generates text. So part of the text is generated by AI. So if the majority of the text is generated by ChatGPT, why not edit as a co-author? However, there's also the other logic. If a person is edited as if someone or something is edited as a co-author, that entity should have should take responsibility about the article. But ChatGPT and any other artificial intelligence cannot, piece of artificial intelligence cannot take responsibility of this. So it is the human who takes the responsibility. So in that case, it cannot be considered, ChatGPT cannot be considered as a co-author. And also, ChatGPT is a tool, and although sophisticated, extremely sophisticated, but it's a tool. So if we consider ChatGPT as a co-author, then practically this will mean that SPSS needs to be a co-author, Word needs to be a co-author, Excel, and any other piece of software that we use needs to be a co-author, because it will facilitate, and software for data collection needs to be. So this will be quite quite an argument. So for the moment, within the EJTR and Robonomics Journal, we adopted the strategy and the policy that ChatGPT cannot be a co-author. It's the human that is dealing with this. The human asks the tool. So ChatGPT, something that I tried, and ChatGPT was extremely good at, generate questions to measure something. So I asked it to generate, please provide me with a set of questions and respective scales to measure people's attitudes towards robots. So you can see the questions and the respective scales that were generated, and I would say they were quite relevant. How much do you trust robots? How much do you think robots can improve our lives? How much do you think robots can replace human workers? Do you think robots will become more intelligent than humans in the future, etc., etc.? So you see that these questions, they are very relevant to the topic. And when I generated this with ChatGPT, I was quite satisfied because some of these questions I practically did not use in my study. So this gives me ideas what to do. So this is also another way to use it. We use the collective wisdom that is trained there. But you have to be extremely careful with this one. ChatGPT and any other AI application can hold these language models that do not have real-time data. They can hallucinate. So I asked it, can you name some authors that have written academic publications on robots in tourism? And you can see the answers. These are the boxes on the first row. So it provided me with 10 references. And if you I did my my homework. I checked every single reference in the respective journal. None of these references exists. So practically, ChatGPT generated fake references. Some of the journals even do not exist, like a Journal of Tourism Futures. Others do exist, like a Journal of Travel Research. But the text, you can see some of the family names of people who do exist, but with initials, but with the wrong initials. Definitely these. These references, they do not exist. So, dear students, what I can say is that ChatGPT may generate the text, but it will not provide you with correct and relevant references. So this is a huge limitation of the model. And it cannot do this. And the reason is quite simple. You can see the answer by ChatGPT in the third box. When I asked it, please provide me with the links to the publications you have mentioned above, it says, I apologize, as a language model, I do not have access to the internet, so I don't have direct links to the publications I mentioned above. However, you can find these publications by searching for the titles or authors in academic databases such as blah, blah, blah. So you can see that it practically redirects the researcher to the academic databases because it does not have real-time data. But if it has, then things would be quite different. I would say that in the future, future AI applications, future models, and future versions of ChatGPT will definitely be much more improved than this one. So finally, to remember is that ChatGPT is a tool, and we have to use it actively and wisely. Of course, it has risks, but it has benefits as well. If we consider that we should not use it just because people may misuse it, then probably we should not have knives in our kitchens, because the knife can be used to cut bread, to cut meat, but also it can be used to kill people. So does this mean that we need to ban knives? Definitely not. But we need to acknowledge what are the benefits. We need to acknowledge what are the risks, and try to utilize it as a tool wisely in order to maximize the benefits and its effectiveness, efficiency, utility for us as educators, as researchers, and of course, try to mitigate the potential risks. And thank you so much for your attention, and I'm ready to answer any other questions.
Thank you very much, Professor Stan. It was very enriching and interesting information you've just shared with us. We have actually a couple of questions in the question and answer box, which I can read some of them. And people would actually raise hands to ask questions.
Yeah, let us see probably first the questions that are written in the
right.
Question.
We have a question from Lucas, and he's asking, what is training data? And is this where ChatGPT gets its answers?
Oh,
and
yes,
also,
it takes from the training data. Well, the training data, this I cannot answer this question because it is the software engineers at OpenAI that can answer this one. But definitely ChatGPT generates answers based on this training data.
Right. Lucas is also asking, what is the ultimate objective of AI, and why is there an apparent need for this generally?
I can say that AI does not have an objective per se by itself. It is the objective of people and companies that develop the AI. So the objective of people and companies is quite straightforward: making things more effective, more efficient, and making our lives easier. And this is the ultimate goal. Of course, there will be always some benefits, some risks, but in the long term, this technology is going to have, I would say, more benefits than risks.
Right. I think we are having also a couple of questions in the chat box. Yeah. And I urge everybody to raise a hand so we can, Rashid, can we have the microphone of Rashid open, please? Can you turn it on, control? We have Rashid and we have we have Saeed Shamsi, please, go ahead.
Hello, thank you, Prof, for the informative, presentation about ChatGPT. Actually, I have like a couple of comments. I do as well train my students on using ChatGPT in the assignments to generate, some ideas, and I actually encourage them to be critical of what they get. So I do ask them to write in the assignment, the keywords they used, the prompts they used, and how they used it, and how they deal with the output, how they are creative or critical thinkers of this. Because actually, as you said, it might give us, as good answers as it might give us like, fake or bad answers. This is the first point. I also use it in my research to generate some good ideas. It's like, chatting with an expert, like with a colleague, getting some ideas. I do not accept everything it says, but actually it gives so many ideas. But I do as well encourage my students to not to over rely on technology, but to focus on being creative and critical thinkers and try to get resources. And I do insist on having references for whatever they write. So they can get ideas from ChatGPT, but they still need to provide me with, references for what they get. So as if, chatting with someone, get some ideas and then looking for the references for this. But actually, I do have a comment on using, on comparing ChatGPT to SPSS. In the SPSS program, we all use it. Everyone use it. So we know the rationale behind it. So if I use, ANOVA or correlation or whatsoever, I know the equation, simply speaking, I know it. But when you have too much data, you cannot use it, or analyze it manually. So you use a software, but you know the rationale or the logic behind it. And even when it gives you an output, if there is, outliers or something like this, you can verify, you can go and amend the data. If you do input the data correctly, you will get, correct analysis. If you do inputs, in the wrong way, you might get wrong data. So, but you still can control it. That, this is my main concern, in comparing it to SPSS. And the SPSS, you still control it because you know the rationale and you know the logic, and you can control it. And if there is something mistake, you can find out the mistake and you can correct it. And you might double check, your inputs. But in ChatGPT, you are chatting with, a human-like robot answering in a human-like way. So you cannot control what he gets. He's controlling everything. You just control the prompts and the questions, you know. But still, you know, there are similarities, you know. And actually, I can see there are lots of promises in ChatGPT for the time being and for the future. And my opinion is that universities should never at all forbid it, because, you know, the forbidden is wanted by everyone. So if you forbid something, you know, all students will be looking behind it. If you keep it like this, train students, it can be helpful in, you know, in translation. For those learning new languages, they can chat with the ChatGPT to learn language. It's like private tutor. It provides personalized tutoring, personalized learning experience. You know, I don't want to take so long and to allow my colleagues, but actually I see lots of promises and as well challenges and ethical considerations. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. So, may I just one comment? Thank you so much for this. It is great that you allow the students and you encourage them to use ChatGPT. This is the future, and this is the way with which we need to follow, because students need to gain digital skills and also organizational skills and how to operationalize the tasks. That's great. It's also great that you use it to generate ideas, etc. And of course, I completely agree that within ChatGPT you cannot control everything. But this is the case with every AI technology. It is the black box. It is the explainability of the AI's output that is a major problem. Because we have the input, we have the output, but how the AI reached to the output, it's not always quite clear. But what I said is that we need to treat ChatGPT and any other AI application as a tool. And the software which we use, word processing, Excel, or SPSS, these are all tools. And that's why we need to consider it in the same way. So it is sophisticated, much more sophisticated, but it's still a tool. And of course, we can always check in SPSS, but do we really check what SPSS calculates? No, we trust. We have the data input, we take the results, and then we report, this is how it was done. Do we really check how it made the calculations? No, we don't. We trust the software. So
yeah, but what I mean, if you suspect there is something wrong, you can go back to your inputs because you might did something wrong in inputting the data. Yes. Or you can verify, you know, if there are outliers, you know, you can, you know, get rid of them or something like this. You have a little bit of control on SPSS.
Yeah.
You know, it's like in vivo, it's like MaxQDA. Whatever application we have, you know, it's a helping tool. If we know how to use it, how to control it, we will be able. But in this case, you know, we cannot. This is my point, you know. And actually, there are as well other, you know, applications or platforms like Creative Fabrica, right? Cream, generative storytelling. Google is preparing now for Google part. So actually, ChatGPT is just a beginning for, you know, a load of, you know, of AI applications coming, you know, on the way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Exactly.
Saeed.
Thank you.
Yeah. Completely agree with this.
Exactly.
The queue is getting long, so we will have Dr. Nuruddin, please. Dr. Nuruddin.
Thank you for good presentation, Prof. My question is regarding to the accuracy. There is some percentage showing that not all generated results from the GPT chat is not 100% accuracy. Plus, it is not giving detailed information for all topics uncovering. What about these two issues, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. It cannot be accurate because it's based on training data until the beginning of 2021. It does not have real-time data, so it cannot be always accurate. It generates text based on what it has been trained on. But if it is incorporated and into chatbots which have and it can be fed with real-time data, then it will be much more complicated, much more precise. For the moment, it's not. Some of the texts are okay, other texts are not. But this is also something which students can learn as a skill to identify what is accurate, what is not, and not to rely and trust a text generated by a tool. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nuruddin. We have Lucas. Dr. Lucas, please.
Yes,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Hello, Fatima.
Yes. Suleiman, Dr. Suleiman, please, can you mute your, Dr. Lucas, please, go ahead.
Yes, I have an interesting statement or input into this. You speak in finite terms of obligation and necessity of this particular AI, subsidiary of AI, which is Chatbox, right? And I did mention that, you know, taking away the writing skills of students and having them depend on typing skills does affect the sensory motor skills or the aptitude of the brain, the function of the brain. So it does harm students in one aspect and probably other aspects in the future. So I'm trying to figure out what is the obligation or necessity of these things in school or even in society. I mean, we're using AI in almost everything today, and the internet itself is basically AI. And I would call it more of a automated intelligence, but not a artificial intelligence. I mean, I think definitions are skewed here in this area of technology, and I think mainstream media likes to provide a narrative that is kind of ambiguous and not so clear or concise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You know, skills develop, and the need, definitely when we do something, when we use specific parts of the brain, we develop these parts more actively. If we don't use them, we lose. Definitely not writing, but typing also leads to losing some of has some negative consequences. That's definitely. But also we also learn some other skills. The question is not whether we need to have every single skill that we previously needed. If we look back a century ago, for men, it was necessary to ride a horse. But how many of us can now ride a horse? 100 years ago, very few people could drive a car. But now driving a car, it's most of us drive a car, and driving a car develops, gives us different skill. As a skill also helps us develop different other parts of the brain. So definitely there are always risks. Whether we have to use it in education, yes, we do need, because this is the future. Will there be risks? Yes, definitely. But we also need to work to address the risks rather than forbid tools. Otherwise, we can always go to the blackboard and to the chalk. It's simple. So, we can always go back.
So would it be safe to say that you would keep this tool or use these tools in AI as strictly as assistance, but not a replacement? Would you agree to that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely that these tools, they will be helping teachers, they will be helping researchers, but they will not replace. Even a few years ago, if I remember well, in 2019, the first academic book written by AI was published by Springer. Although the text was generated by AI, it was trained, the software was definitely developed by humans, but also the final text was brushed off by humans. So, so definitely humans, we will not go the way of the horses. We will still be around, and in education we will help. In education we will use these tools, and as teaching assistants, they will help us be more efficient and answer many of the repetitive questions, or some of the things that that are more, how to say, that could be answered in a more algorithmic way.
Okay, thank you. So I would see, again, there's a danger of subjectivity and less of objectivity in this construction or infrastructure of AI. I mean, algorithms, as you know, are just mathematical formulas, but it can still be subjective in the input process, and therefore the output process would also be subjective. So we have to be careful of this, extremely careful of this. Objectivity is vital, especially in education, of course, right? As you know.
I completely agree. If you can name a person, a teacher who is entirely objective and without any doubt of subjectivity, then please send me his or her name. A subject cannot be objective. So we humans, we are also subjective, and so that's subjectivity is inevitable. But the question is the degree of subjectivity. And if you put and if you rely only on data, rather than emotions and prejudices based on race, religion, nationality, ethnicity, or the field of study, or whatever, there we can name countless of such prejudices, sources of prejudices. Then what? Probably we can decrease. The question is decreasing the subjectivity, not being entirely objective. I personally don't think that that complete objectivity is possible anywhere.
Well, that's true. But what I'm saying is the data itself, the information itself, right? I mean, that can be made to be subjective on purpose or intent, right?
That's for sure. That's for sure. That's always a problem. That's always a problem, but it's not the problem of AI. It's the problem of the humans that feed the data.
That's correct. And therefore the intent is the problem, not so much subjectivity or objectivity, but the intent.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. But we cannot, but we cannot hold ChatGPT viable for this one. It's a tool. Yeah. So it's, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lucas. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Afwan. Dr. Sulaiman, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Oda, for organizing this wonderful webinar. Professor, how are you? Mohammed Sulaiman with you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes, Dr. Mohammed, please.
Yes. Now I'd like to thank Professor for this wonderful presentation, and this is timely topic regarding research and education. And now my question is related to how to manage the issue of ChatGPT as a co-author, as an editor or as a publisher. Now some editors allow it as co-author and some not. So how to manage this by publishers or by editors? Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is a great question. The simple answer is no, ChatGPT cannot be an author, because ChatGPT is a tool. It cannot be held liable for the text that it generates. It cannot own the text, meaning that it identifies with the text. So it can, from my perspective, it cannot be a co-author. So in the European Journal of Tourism Research, in Robonomics, the Journal of the Automated Economy, our policy is that, yes, you can submit articles based on ChatGPT. You can use ChatGPT in the articles. You need to acknowledge this, of course. Definitely, it should be clearly indicated somehow. But ChatGPT cannot be a co-author. Most of the publishers, well, definitely, yeah, nearly all of the publishers I know, they have done this, excluding one of the journals in tourism. But all other, there had been a few cases when ChatGPT was mentioned as a co-author, but the publishers stepped in and they said that they will revise this and probably they will eliminate ChatGPT as a co-author. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. I don't have any more raised hand, but I have this question in the chat box, and it says, is there a tool that could be used to check that the text has been generated by ChatGPT or it's ChatGPT free? So
yeah,
can we check?
Yeah, there are different applications. I don't have them in front of me, but there are some applications. If I remember well, one was even developed by OpenAI, the company that developed ChatGPT. But yeah, you can. There are some tools online which you can search. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the accuracy here. Right. It's not always 100% accurate, but I don't think that this is a big problem. As long as the use of AI is acknowledged, as long as the author declares that he or she takes full responsibility of the text generated, and the AI is not listed as a co-author, then that's not an issue, at least for me. Probably there will be other arguments in the future that will lead me to change my attitude, but for the moment, this is what I consider.
Right. One last question, since we are 1 minute past 12, from Nasra. Nasra is asking, are there other softwares like ChatGPT that handles real data?
That can build?
Yeah, that can build, sort of handles real data. The question is in the question box.
That can handle real-time data.
Yes.
Yeah, it's I have to check on this. It's difficult for me to answer this question directly.
Right. All right. I think we reached the end of this very, very informative talk. By now, please allow me, and on behalf of everyone, to extend our sincerest thanks and gratitude to you, Professor Stan, who actually have honored us today and hopefully helped many of us scale up our teaching and research in different domains. Thank you very much and take care.
Thank you very much. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much.